Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? Hope it's fantastic. I think most of you are aware that in the real world, outside of this thing, I am a web developer, like a full stack engineer, I don't know. I think my actual job title before becoming a project manager was program or software developer or something like that. I don't really consider myself a software developer. I'm just a PHP programmer. I write lots of PHP stuff. And for the past couple of weeks, I've been overwhelmed, would be the way I would put it, on a new project that has to get done. And it's not a fun project, meaning that if you came to me and said, hey, I want a website that I can have customers log in and do this and do that, and we record transactions or whatever, that's like the stuff that's fun. Like, yeah, let's do that. Like, we use a framework called Laravel for a lot of our internal software, but also a lot of our internal software is custom code, like completely vanilla PHP. One of my biggest projects that I have personally created and seen through its entire life cycle is just that. There's no framework involved. And it's the stuff that I really enjoy doing. I enjoy hacking on new ways, new inputs and new outputs and making the customer happy. But this project that I'm working on for literally 2 weeks now is none of that. It's just I needed to create a payment gateway for WooCommerce, which is a WordPress thing. But as many of you are also aware, I am a state employee. And because of that, in our state at least, when our agency processes payment, it has to go through the state treasurer's office. Just has to. Because all of our state's finances are open to the public. Like, you can look up every employee's salary, every expense, every dime the state spends. There's a website. You can go search all of that data. So all of our payments have to go through that processing. And so they have their own payment gateway API. It is a SOAP API, they claim. And they have documentation for it, and surprise, it's terrible. The documentation is really bad. It doesn't even call out the correct nodes. First of all, it's an XML API. Let's not talk about that. Second of all, it doesn't call out the correct nodes in the documentation. It doesn't even tell you the correct nodes to use to pass the your secret keys and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really kind of confusing thing. And it's literally one of those things that took me a week and a half just to wrap my head around how to even begin processing these payments. And that was me just writing test code and banging on their dev server to see if I could get it to return anything, figuring out that whatever it returns is maybe valid XML, maybe it's not, trying to parse that, writing all of this test case. The actual like WooCommerce part, the part where I plug it into our WordPress site, that's what I'm doing today. And it just works. Like, following some tutorials, walking through, and that's what makes me feel like a champ. Days like that, when there's this thing that has to happen, nobody has the knowledge to make it happen. You spend the time to figure it out, and then when it happens, you're like, yes, I did that. There's one key thing that's holding me up right now, and I'm waiting on my development partner to get back so he can look at it and go, oh yeah, you're doing this wrong. And it's just my misunderstanding of how it doesn't matter. The point is, I need to change like one line of code probably to fix this one issue that I'm having. But other than that, I got it just to work in about But here's the thing: I started this WordPress code like a couple of days ago. I finally got all of my payment processing code, like just custom PHP code, to work. Now I need to plug all of that into this WordPress framework, which requires me to build a class and all that sort of stuff. And that was one of those parts that I was like, I felt super overwhelmed. I've spent the last couple of days reading like how to do this. How do you process payments? How do you go through this process? And then when it clicked, it was like, oh, you just do this. And then when it's done and they come back to the website, you do this and you're done. And and so that was this morning. It was like just banging away on it and it just works. And it feels wonderful when that happens. The problem is I feel like I could have been here days ago. I feel like I could have just done it. But I couldn't get my brain to go, yeah, dude, you got this, just do the thing. Instead, my brain goes, maybe we should study some more. And I spent days reading blogs like, how do you make this work? How do you make this work? And what I discovered was that none of them were correct. All of them had correct pieces for me. There was elements here that worked, there was elements there that worked, and I needed to figure out how to put all that together. And I think that's typically how development goes, especially when it's on a platform you're not familiar with. You tend to try to find other users' examples and make whatever they've got going work for your particular environment. But I think now I have a fairly robust payment gateway system that pipes through my state's API, and it actually does work. At least on their dev server. I haven't tested it on their production server yet. I am not ready to do that. So for right now at least, I think I can hand it off and say, all right, we got this working now. Now we just need to get the rest of the site built out so that we can make these payment things work. But I don't know. There's, when everything is going wrong, it makes it feel super overwhelming. And I get lost in that overwhelming feeling. But when it goes right, it really makes you feel, special inside. And today I feel special, like I did the thing. I did the thing that we were all just kind of, what about? I like that feeling. I should find it more often. I think the problem is I tend to get hung up and I don't allow myself to have that feeling because I allow myself to be afraid. I think that's the thing I need to work on next. That's what I have for you today. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is largesse. It is a noun meaning the generous bestowal of gifts or generosity in general. A largesse universal like the sun. His liberal eye doth give to everyone, thawing cold fear. William Shakespeare. Largesse. Largesse. That's a good word. I didn't know that it actually meant generosity. I didn't know that it came from that. I thought it was more just giving. But I guess that giving is generosity. I don't know what I'm saying. Do you know what I'm saying?